Eala created the fastest Louis Vuitton custom tennis has ever seen. The internet didn't just react to this story, it completely lost control. For nearly 2 straight days, timelines were flooded, comment sections were exploding, and fans across the globe were celebrating what looked like one of the biggest crossover deals in sports and fashion history. A young tennis star, a luxury empire, millions of dollars, a bold response, a viral moment that felt too perfect to question. Except, none of it actually happened. And somehow, that makes the real story even more unbelievable. Because buried underneath the chaos, the rumors, and the wildly shared headlines, there was something far more powerful unfolding. Something quieter, something real, something that didn't need exaggeration to become legendary. This is not just a story about fashion. It's not even just a story about tennis. This is a story about timing, identity, belief, and how one photograph turned a rising athlete into a global phenomenon overnight. It all started with an image. Not a championship point. Not a dramatic comeback. Not even a trophy celebration. Just a photo. A calm, composed, almost cinematic shot of standing in a sleek gray piece from, paired with performance sneakers and minimal jewelry. No over-the-top styling. No forced drama. Just presence. And somehow, that was enough. At first, the image moved quietly through the internet, like most editorial shoots do. A few reposts here, a few admiring comments there. But then something shifted. Something subtle, but powerful. People didn't just like the photo. They felt something. They couldn't explain it, but they recognized it instantly. That rare combination of elegance and authenticity. That effortless ability to belong in 2 completely different worlds at the same time. And then, almost like a spark hitting dry grass, the rumors began. Posts started circulating, first among dedicated fan communities, then spilling out into the wider world. The claim? That a top executive had personally approached Eala after a major tournament victory, offering her millions to showcase their designs during competition. It sounded bold. It sounded dramatic. And most importantly, it sounded believable. That's what made it dangerous. Because within hours, the story evolved. It wasn't just about the offer anymore. Now it included a response, a short, powerful statement that allegedly left executives stunned. A reply so confident, so unexpected, that it turned the narrative from business deal into legend. And just like that, the internet was hooked. Fans celebrated as if it were already official. Comment sections filled with pride, excitement, and national emotion. Headlines started forming. Influencers picked it up. Even fashion observers began paying attention. For nearly 48 hours, this was the story. The biggest crossover moment in women's tennis and luxury fashion. There was just one problem. It wasn't real. When fact-checkers stepped in, the truth came out quickly. No secret deal. No multimillion-dollar contract. No dramatic 5-word reply. The entire narrative had been constructed, carefully, convincingly, and perfectly designed to spread. And spread it did. But here's where things take a fascinating turn. Because even after the story was debunked, one question refused to dissipate. Why did so many people believe it so easily? The answer isn't as simple as misinformation or online gullibility. In fact, it's much more revealing than that. People didn't just fall for the story. They wanted it to be true. Think about that. Out of all the athletes in the world, out of all the possible names that could be attached to a luxury fashion takeover, millions of people saw and thought, yes, that makes sense. That instinct matters, because it means something deeper was already in place long before the rumors began. A presence, a perception, a quiet understanding that this young athlete belonged on a much bigger stage. And the truth is, she didn't need a fake headline to prove it. Long before the viral storm, her story was already being written. One early morning, one sacrifice, one decision at a time. She didn't grow up surrounded by luxury or guaranteed opportunities. Her path was built on discipline and vision, shaped by a family that saw potential long before the rest of the world caught on. Her grandfather, in particular, played a role that now feels almost legendary. He would arrive hours early at a local club just to secure a hard court for her practice. Not because it was convenient, but because he understood something crucial. If she wanted to compete internationally, she had to train differently. That kind of thinking changes everything. It's not glamorous. It doesn't trend online, but it builds foundations that can't be shaken. Years later, that same mindset followed her across continents when she left home to train at the prestigious new environment, new pressure, new expectations. And she didn't just adapt. She thrived. Match by match, she built a reputation, not just as a competitor, but as someone with composure far beyond her years. Someone who didn't need attention to command it. By the time she stepped onto one of tennis's biggest stages for the first time, she wasn't just another name in the draw. She was a signal, a sign that something new was emerging. And then came the photo shoot that changed everything. Shot 4. The editorial was timed almost perfectly with a major milestone in her career. But what made it unforgettable wasn't just the styling. It was the way she carried it. Outfit after outfit, she moved effortlessly between identities. A clean, sophisticated look paired with subtle luxury pieces. A bold color statement balanced with minimalist accessories. And then, that gray designer dress. The image that refused to stay quiet. It wasn't just fashion. It was a statement. Without saying a word, she showed the world that she wasn't stepping into fashion. She was already part of it. And she knew it. In her own words, she expressed a love for dressing well, for feeling confident, for embracing the idea that tennis was expanding into something bigger than itself. That awareness is rare. Most athletes focus purely on performance. Some explore branding later in their careers. But here was a 20-year-old who understood, in real time, that she was standing at the intersection of sport and culture, and that she had the ability to shape both. That's not just talent. That's vision. And while the internet was busy chasing fake headlines, the real story kept building quietly in the background. Historic milestones, breakthrough performances, achievements that had never been reached before by someone from her country. Each one adding another layer to a narrative that didn't need exaggeration, because it was already extraordinary. She wasn't just winning matches. She was opening doors, creating possibilities, inspiring millions who had never seen someone like them succeed at that level before. And all the while, the fashion world kept watching. Not rushing in, not forcing partnerships, just observing. Because when something feels inevitable, timing becomes everything. The viral rumors, strange as they were, revealed something important. They showed how the world already saw her. Not just as an athlete, but as a future icon. A symbol of what happens when discipline meets identity. When performance meets presence. It's almost like the public wrote the script before the industry officially caught up. And maybe that's exactly what's happening now. Because influence doesn't begin with contracts. It begins with belief. With the ability to make people see something before it fully exists. Right now, is standing in a space that very few athletes ever reach. A space where one image can spark global conversation. Where one appearance can shift perception. And she got there the hard way. Through years of preparation, sacrifice, and quiet determination. Every early practice session. Every moment away from home. Every decision to keep going when no one was watching. It all led her to this moment, to this shift. So no, the viral story wasn't true. But the reaction to it, that was 100% real. And it told us everything we needed to know. The world isn't just watching anymore. It's ready. Ready for a new kind of star. Ready for a new kind of influence. Ready for someone who doesn't just play the game, but changes the way the game is seen. And if this is what happens from a single photo shoot, imagine what happens next. Because this story, it's just getting started. If this blew your mind, if you can see the bigger picture unfolding, make sure you hit that like button right now. Drop a comment and tell us, do you think she's about to become the biggest crossover star in sports and fashion? And don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications, because we're following every twist, every breakthrough, and every viral moment as it happens. Trust me, you do not want to miss what comes next.